GTD, ZR1, which one's better? Well, the truth is, I think that most people misunderstand what the GTD actually is. Because the GTD isn't like the 4GT, the GTD isn't like the ZR1, the GTD isn't like a Shelby Super Snake, nor is it like any other Mustang. And today, I'm going to talk about why it's misunderstood, what the GTD actually kind of is, and why comparing the two is fun, but at the same time, a little pointless. Today we're going to get into a heated topic, ZR1 or GTD. I'm sure you guys have your opinions on them. Leave them down in the comment section down below. There's a lot of similarities between these two cars. Both of them cost over $150,000. The GTD costing $100,000 more than the ZR1. They're both mid-engined, they're both super powerful, pretty limited, and supercars from America. Yes, I'm officially going to say it, Chevy has built a supercar. The thing about the GTD, however, it's not quite like any other Mustang. People compare it, oh my god, it's a $350,000 Mustang. Oh my god, Ford has gone crazy. Who's gonna buy this car? Well, the thing is, all of these cars are pre-sold, and they're only building 1,000 of them. The GTD is a commemoration for the little bit of success they've had in the GTD series. I believe the GTD was in production before they actually won Daytona, but now they won Daytona, so the GTD being built is even cooler. It's like a one-off, limited production run, super high-end, super cool car they're building. When they built the 4GT, I felt like it was a little bit more special. They're making it a little bit more of a production car. With the GTD, they're doing this solo run of cars where it's going to be, here's 1,000, here's everyone who's pre-selected, got to obtain the GTD from Ford, no playing around with dealership games, things like that. I'm sure there will be some, and we'll see that when the cars come out. But it was like, here's the GTD, here's the people who get them. So for those who are complaining about the price, you guys were never the people who were going to buy them anyways. The GTD is officially the fastest American car around the Nürburgring. I'm sure the ZR1 is going to be very, very close, if not a little bit faster. The Z06 was around 8 seconds slower, so the ZR1 with over 1,000 horsepower most likely will be pretty close. I think it might even end up beating it, but keep in mind the GTD, it's got a lot going for it in terms of track performance. When we look at the two cars, I feel like these two cars are also not really the same when you boil it down. I see the GTD as more of like a GT3 RS. It's a track weapon, it's built for a purpose, it's built super limited, even more limited than a 3RS, but it's in the same price point, it has that specialty of it, and a lot of the times you don't really compare a GT3 RS to something like a Ferrari F8 or SF90 or something like that. And that's kind of the realm I feel like the ZR1 is playing in. There's going to be about 50% less of them, so you're not going to see as many GTDs as you see ZR1s, and it's also just a full-on track weapon. We'll see how the ZR1 performs, but the ZR1 is going to be more of this supercar that's going to be produced that you have to play the dealership games for and all of the nonsense that's going to go around with it. At the end of the day, both cars are going to cost very similar amounts while they're being first delivered. It still has the 5.2 liter in it. It makes a ton of horsepower. It's a crazy looking car, and of course it looks like a Mustang because it's supposed to be, but it's not related. Like, there's not this hierarchy of, oh, here's the base model EcoBoost, here's the GT, here's the GT500, and then there's the GTD. Like, the GTD isn't in the class performance of Mustang. While the Corvette, it's base model C8, Z06, ZR1. The ZR1 is the top version of the C8 platform, while the GTD isn't an S650. So there's that little bit of difference there as well, and that doesn't mean that the ZR1 isn't as great or isn't as good as the GTD is. I'm sure, in fact, I think more people are taking the ZR1 over the Mustang. There is just that little bit of difference, and I feel like people always miss the point of how special of a car the Mustang GTD is going to be and is. If you ever get the pleasure or experience to ride or drive that car, it is something completely out of this world. While a ZR1, yeah, it's super cool, it's 1,000 horsepower, but it's a Corvette ZR1. There's still going to be a fair amount of them out there. They're going to build as many as they possibly can. We'll get into like the dumb production numbers of the ZR1 in a second, but they're going to build about as many ZR1s in the C7 gen as they are with the C8s. They might actually build more of them, but the thing about the C7 was it still came in manual. As far as C8 ZR1 production goes, this is what Chevy claims. They're going to build as many as they physically can and try to fulfill as many orders as possible. Meaning you could go to a dealership, find a dealership who's getting allocated ZR1s and most likely get one. While with a GTD, you have to know someone who already is pre-selected and has to lock in a spec or already locked in a spec a few months back. So there's that little bit of difference there, and they're probably only going to build around 2,500, 2,000 of them. The main and big reason, the big thing that they're saying about the ZR1 is they're going to run out of materials in order to fulfill orders. Like they'll be able to build 2,000 cars, but not all of those cars, not all of the owners will be able to spec all the options they want. So a lot of the first cars rolling around won't have the bigger wings, and they're going to be missing a bunch of options that owners probably wish they could have had. Even if you have the money, you can't get them because Chevy doesn't have enough parts to go around. I think that's kind of stupid, but hey, what do I know about vehicle production? If a customer wants to order a big wing, I understand that some of them are out of order, but hey, I feel like the customer should still be able to get a big wing if they want it. And from my understanding, the further you get down in the production of the ZR1, the more options will become available to you, or certain cars will get certain options, or some weird thing along that extent. Basically, when it boils down to the topic of this video, there's going to be many more ZR1s than there are GTDs. The GTD is more of a specialty limited edition car that's going to come out, while the ZR1 remains to be a semi-high production vehicle with a lot of examples out there. You're going to see them a lot more, and that's not to take away anything from the ZR1. It is an absolutely insane, diabolical piece of machinery that Chevy's coming out with. I mean, 1,000+ horsepower, a mid-engine twin turbo with the Z06 platform motor. Crazy. A lot of people like to hate on the Mustang though, and I feel like they never bring up the points of how limited it is, how special it's going to be, what the car actually is, and the fact that it's not an S650, it's a mid-engine. It's just like this one-off thing that they decided to build, while the ZR1 is more of a proper production car. Like, they're going to land at dealerships, they're going to be sold through dealerships. Ford realistically picked and chose all of the customers they wanted to give the cars to. I feel like that might make a little bit of sense for some of you guys, and then for the ZR1 people, they're going to be like, whatever, doesn't matter, the ZR1 is better. My opinion is, I think I'd take the GTD just because it's a little bit more special. I feel like the ZR1 would be the better car to have objectively, but from a unobjective, just straight up emotional answer, I think the GTD is going to be a little bit more fun, a little bit more usable, and just to look at that car in your driveway or your garage with the big wing, the wide body, I think it would be absolutely crazy. And you're not getting mistaken for a base model with the GTD, while the ZR1, is that a Ferrari?